Welcome back, everybody, to the Mobile Magazine Live podcast. I'm your host, John Schmidt, founder and CEO of Mobile Next Level. Today, we're going to talk about the gross issue, our June Mobile Magazine issue that has 10 secret keys to building mobile service gross. Sometimes people think that mobile service and gross profit are mutually exclusive, but I'm here to tell you we've got some really good hacks in our June issue. Unfortunately, time will not permit us to cover all those today. So we're going to cover one very special hack, and that is the opportunity to expand our horizons on what can be done out on the road. You know, we've always been really creative about the services that we complete in the shop to attain gross. And a lot of that is done through these various chemical companies with the induction services and the power steering flushes and things like that. And of course, up to this point, the mobile community has been very reluctant to embrace those types of services out on the road. Maybe it's a matter of the maturation of this new business where people have got to get comfortable with it. But I'm here to tell you that if you want to make gross out there, you've got to do some of these same services that they do inside the shop. And that's why we have a very special guest today, David Puterbaugh, the president of Revive H2. And he's going to tell us a little bit about a product that is gaining real traction out in the mobile community for providing an induction service, a non-chemical induction service that is safe out in the community. Without further ado, I want to welcome my friend and associate colleague out in the business, David Puterbaugh. Welcome, David.
John, thank you very much. I appreciate you having me. Good morning.
Yeah, good morning. Good morning. Hey, before we launch into some questions that I have actually will also be in the magazine, tell us a little bit about your background, how you got, your background in fixed ops, your journey to this point, and then we'll talk about why you were compelled and inspired to develop this product. But let's go ahead and talk about your background first, if you don't mind.
So I have a fixed ops background. I've been in the business for over 40 years, technician and then service manager and fixed ops director. Worked with Ford in North Carolina. I live in Charlotte. Worked with Ford for over 22 years. Then I kind of got into the chemical game for a little bit after I got out of that. Moved to South Florida, and that's where I actually saw this technology. So had a guy that was at one of our dealers doing a mobile service with this technology, and we kind of hit it off and we created a company. So I've been doing this for just about almost 10 years now. I had a company previous to this. We did a lot of mobile services with fleets and diesels. That's where we really cut our teeth. And then I saw the opportunity to get in. I saw this as a great opportunity in the dealership world to have an option instead of a toxic chemical fuel service, smoking up the shop and test driving the cars and blowing all the smoke out and all that kind of stuff, because this is a really clean technology. So that's kind of where we started with this, was down in South Florida. Exited that company a few years ago, and we started Revive. And with Revive, I really just wanted to focus on the dealership programs, because as we started launching more and more dealers in the main shops, we noticed that, they really loved it. Technicians loved it. And then obviously with the advent of mobile coming on in the last few years and getting bigger and bigger, we really saw an opportunity for that. So we developed a smaller machine, because these are the two machines. This big machine right here is the one we put in the main shop. But obviously that's pretty large to have to put in a mobile van.
Right.
So we kind of downsized, and we have a smaller version for the mobile, so that fits right in on a shelf or a bench or something like that. So excellent. So that's where we got started and been doing it. I've been in this space now for almost 10 years.
That's fantastic. As a former fixed ops director myself, I see a couple of things, a couple of reasons why it would be really attractive. First of all, the chemicals are very toxic that are used, for these cleaners in the shop. So there's an environmental angle there, certainly. I hate to use the word angle, that sounds kind of derogatory, but there's an opportunity to do something that's cleaner for the environment. But also in a shop environment, if you puff a giant cloud of smoke, no one's going to call the fire department, and no one's
Right.
going to really complain about it unless it blows into the customer lounge or the service drive. Whereas out in the field, when you're in someone's driveway, they simply won't tolerate the odor and the smoke and all that goes with traditional chemical flush products. So I think that this is really a great fit for mobile. You and I've had a lot of conversations about it over the last year, I guess it's been. And so I think it's really an exciting opportunity. Can you tell us a little bit about how it works?
Yeah, absolutely. So I would say everybody out there probably pretty much knows what a chemical fuel induction service is. You know, with a traditional service, you're putting a chemical through the air intake system, and you're basically melting, breaking up the carbon deposits and pushing it downstream. So it's got to go out the exhaust, past the oxygen sensor, catalytic converter. And we've all been around a long time and have probably seen where technicians pull it up in the intake too fast or whatever. It can actually turn check engine lights on. It could potentially cause more problems than you're trying to fix. So it's dirty, right? When you're done with the vehicle, you got to go test drive it and blow all that stuff out. And basically how hydrogen works is we have a machine that works off of distilled water. Okay. So inside the machine, there's distilled water and there's an electrolyte solution. There's a positive and negative electrodes that go down inside of the water, and we throw power to it, which creates electrolysis. So think kind of in the vein of like an oxygen machine, for elderly where they have the nocula and, you're supplying oxygen. So what this does, it's through the process of electrolysis, it separates the oxygen and the hydrogen from the water, recombines it together. So what comes out the end of the hose and into the air intake is oxyhydrogen gas. Okay. It's perfectly safe. It's perfectly harmless. Again, you're not going to get the toxic smokes and the smells. And a quick story about that. We had a store out in California that we launched, and they actually got cited by the city. They were out doing fleet services at a shop and just smoking up the place, and they actually got cited by the city. So exactly to your point is this makes a green, clean alternative to that. So basically, I'll just show you really quickly.
Sure.
So think in the mobile setting, right? Technician's out there, he changes the oil. As soon as he puts the oil back in the car, he starts the vehicle up, and literally you take this hose and you put it past the air filter. So just find the air filter, insert the air, you turn this on, you turn a dial, and it starts producing this oxyhydrogen gas. So what's going into the vehicle is this gas, okay? Perfectly harmless, perfectly safe. Again, you're not going to do that.
Oh, man.
Right? So
okay.
that's how simple it is. That's how simple it is. Basically, the vehicle is just going to sit there and idle for about 20 to 30 minutes. So technician can go do other things. If they want to fill out multi-points, replace the wiper blades, the cabin filters, do the additional items, especially if this is pre-sold. They just show up, put this hose in there and let it idle. Then the machine shuts off, whatever you set the time to, and you're done. You shut the hood and you give it back to the customer. There's no test driving when you're done or anything. So it's one of the easiest services that the guys can do. You literally lay the hose in, set a timer, and push a button. It's just that.
That's
simple.
fantastic. Yeah. And we all know that these chemicals, as I said earlier, are really powerful products for building growth. And this is certainly the case here. But like you said, we've got an environmental approach to it, makes it safer. And I'm not one bit surprised that dealer got cited in California. That I could see that happening, because if they came by at any given point at a dealership and there was an injector flush or an induction service going on, they would be like I said, calling the fire department out.
Yeah, you can't go into people's neighborhoods and gated communities and stuff and smoking out their driveways and all
that. Right.
Yeah, it gives a really good option for that. So
excellent. So at what point did we've seen that the landscape changing rapidly with the recognition and adaptation of mobile service. At what point did you realize that this technology was a perfect fit for our mobile industry?
Well, again, you put the fixed ops hat back on. As more and more customers are going to mobile, they're not going to the dealers, right?
Right.
So, think of how many declined services. I saw something on LinkedIn the other day, talking about how many declined services there are out there. And are those customers coming back to the store, once they are there? So, our bells really went off on that. It's a found revenue source for the dealer, something they're not doing in the store. And as more and more customers are getting mobile services done and they're not going to the dealers to get, those third party type services, the flushes, or even a lot of the different services,
Sure.
let's take it to them. So we have a really good program in shop. And then again, as more and more mobile started gotten out there, we've just said, hey, this is the perfect fit for mobile. And,
Excellent.
increasing your dollars per RO, it's just, there's no parts, there's no inventory or anything like that. All I have to have is a machine and keep water in the machine, and that's it. So it's just a perfect fit to me for mobile.
Excellent. I see. Now, I've not seen the little machine, the mobile machine in person. I did see a demo. Of course, you and I did a demo at a Mercedes dealer in Jersey,
Yep.
maybe 6 months ago, and I saw the big machine. That machine that's sitting there, the little one, is that a portable machine that you can take out of the van, or do you leave it in the van with the long hose?
It's literally about 9 inches wide, 18 inches tall by about 24 inches deep. It has two handles on the top. It weighs about 40 pounds. You could take it out. You could set it on the cart. You can sit on the ground. You can leave it in the van, whatever you want to do with it. All you have to do is plug into power. So most of these vans now have inverters in them, or
All
if
of them do.
if they had a small inverter generator.
Anybody who's serious about mobile has an inverter in their van.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I don't know what they're doing.
And you can adjust the output. The more you turn the knob, the more amperage it's going to pull, the more hydrogen it's going to pull. So if you have a lower wattage inverter in it, you can just dial it back. So you can set it to whatever load you have available inside the van.
Tell me how you feel. A lot of people may have questions, and I think I may have even asked you this question at one point. How do you feel like this compares as far as the effectiveness goes? I mean, obviously, one would think instinctively that perhaps it's not quite as potent as using a chemical.
Mm-hmm.
Now, and again, you can still make a great case if that is the case, because it's environmentally friendly and you can do it on the road. But have you got some documentation or some case studies where you can show, hey, this does a really good job of cleaning your induction system?
Yeah. And one thing I'm very transparent, I'm not the snake oil guy and, making claims that, some of these guys are pouring a bottle in and cleaning the intake valves 100% and stuff like that. So hydrogen has its limitations. So basically hydrogen has to burn. So it's got to get down to the combustion chamber. So we're going to do our best work. We sell this for preventative maintenance, right? Time and mileage, 15, 30 Ks, stuff like that.
Is that what you're recommending every 15?
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. You're recommending every 15?
As early as you can in the life cycle, because every vehicle is going to create carbon deposits, right? So the more we can keep them from preventing that buildup and having problems down the road. So as early as you can insert that into your maintenance program, I've got dealers doing it as early as 15 to 20,000 miles. Some of them wait till 30 because they have different things packed into 15 Ks or whatever. So, but as early in that life cycle as you can get it with the vehicle, and you can't do it too often. You're never going to harm anything. Again, with chemicals, you could take out oxygen sensors. You could potentially take out catalytic converters. With hydrogen, because the difference is hydrogen takes the carbon deposits and turns it back to a clean burning fuel. So it burns cleanly out the exhaust. You don't see any smoke or anything like that. So what we're cleaning and what we're not cleaning. So we're cleaning combustion chamber, hot side of the turbo. If you have vehicles with that turbo lag, we regain that pep and fuel economy and stuff like that. If you have vehicles that get P420 codes or catalyst efficiency codes, where it might need a catalytic converter, a lot of times we can clean those up. We have good success saving customers from having to replace catalytic converters.
Excellent.
So, the features and benefits are basically the same pitch that you would give with a chemical, and the features and benefits are the same. It's about trying to regain what you've lost over time.
Right. And that's a really big thrust of mobile. obviously is to be in tandem with what's going on in society with consumer trends, but also for dealers to recapture all that those lost inactive VINs. I mean,
Right.
shoot, the average domestic dealer is probably only running 45 to 50% maintenance retention. And that's where mobile comes in to go grab those folks that don't ever want to come back, regardless of how good the experience was. They don't like the experience. So bringing this to them I think is huge. So you see this becoming a large part of the dealership menu going forward?
Absolutely. I mean, all the dealers that we put it in so far, they love it. It's just a no-brainer. It's because so many of these dealers are just not doing this out on the road. And
Sure.
it gives them that option. And like you said, capturing the additional gross, more dollars, because these guys aren't writing 1,000 ROs a month like they do in the shop. So
Nope.
anything that we can capitalize on, make it simple, safe, and quick, out in the mobile side.
Well said. That's one thing that we've got to be mindful of is if we're not doing 100 ROs a day in a van. So we've got to really maximize the opportunities. So grateful for that. Anything else you want to cover regarding this? I will tell you this as a footnote to our audience today. I'm sold enough on it to where I'm going to start offering it in my upfit packages. As you all know by now, that we have an upfit division called Rapid Fit, where we upfit mobile vans all over the country, and we do them on site at the dealership. The only upfitter in the country that does that. And we're going to start offering the Revive H2 machine as a part of the upfit package as an optional piece that they can package in with the other equipment. So that's how excited we are about it. We're super glad to have Dave with us today. And Dave, for being here today, we're grateful, but I am going to subject you to some of the shenanigans that we cover in the magazine. But first, do you want to comment on let me make this a little bit bigger. Do you want to comment on this infographic?
Yeah. So basically it's an overview of what we just talked about, right? Go mobile. As you see there, just so you do know, we have, we do these in the main shops as well. So we have stores that do this in the main shop. This also works really well on diesels. So when we have the Ford commercial shops now and stuff like that, where we haven't ever really had anything like this, a traditional fuel induction service for the diesel side, this now gives additional revenue for the diesel world as well, right?
Huge with Ford. Yeah, huge with Ford. I mean, we're seeing them build these multi-million-dollar Ford Pro elite shops. And this is a great way to recapture some ROI on that.
Keeping the DPFs clean, the after treatment systems clean, all that type of stuff. So the other thing is we have, so how we put this in the store, we have a few different ways, right? So what we do is we look at this as a partnership approach. It's not a one size fits all. So what we do is we take a look at your operation, how many ROs you're rating, what are the opportunities, and we have a few different ways we can do it. We can do it on what's called a revenue share, where we basically share in the revenue, where we place a machine. We work out a negotiated price. We want to make sure you get your retail price, your effective labor rate, and that type of stuff where you need it. And I kind of back in to see if I can make the per service price work on my side. We can also do fixed pricing, lease to owns. It all depends on what the model is that this needs to fit in. Is it a small dealer? Is it a large dealer? Do you have one mobile? Do you have 10 mobile? We just kind of look at it and find the best win-win we can for everybody. So it's not just a one size fits all for everybody.
Well, what's also cool about it is because it's portable. If a dealer has 5 units, maybe they just want to try it in one to see how they like it. And they can move it from one van to the next until they see the success of it. Then they can add more machines at that point. So I like.
I had a dealer here in Charlotte. I have a dealer in Charlotte that just got 8 machines from me. And what we do is we're moving them between mobile and the main shop. So what we did is we got a roll cart. They can put it in the cart and they can use it in the shop, or they can use it in the van, or whatever they want to do with it.
That's awesome. That keeps that machine busy, doesn't it? Making revenue.
Yep.
So this is the little one, right?
That's correct. Yep.
Yeah, it almost looks like a computer tower, like a processor, doesn't it?
It's about that size. Yep.
Excellent.
Weighs about 40 pounds, so you can move it around if you need to.
Yeah, that's not too bad. Let's see.
And by the way, the maintenance on it is super simple. All the technicians, because it will go through some water, through heat and evaporation, and you can see the little sight glass kind of right here on the machine. But,
Mm-hmm.
you just have to
Yep.
keep water. You just have to keep distilled water in it. That's it. So technician just keeps it topped off with water, and that's basically all they have to do.
That's excellent. Dealers are always looking for more services that they can do out on the road that are safe, and this is a great choice. So, Dave, I want to thank you for sharing that. I'm going to subject you to some of the shenanigans from our magazine before you go. This is part of your punishment for being here
No
today.
problem.
We have a feature in our magazine every month called Unintended Celebrity Shout Out, where I grab someone who's using the term next level, either in a movie or a TV show. This is actually a Royal Caribbean cruise commercial. They're saying it's next level. So I may have to sue them. I'm not sure. We'll see how that goes. They probably don't have it trademarked yet. So and then of course, another feature that we do every month is the dumbest ideas ever. And I was inspired to create this because everybody thought when I got into mobile in 2020 that it was the dumbest idea ever, including me. And since then, I've learned a lot about the business and all the collateral benefits of it. So now I just think it's a fun feature to have the dumbest idea ever. And this month it's Hey Dudes, which are what I call the son of Crocs because Crocs actually bought them out. Initial Republic response: no, not another cheesy sequel. Following closely in the footsteps of the Croc father, Hey Dudes capitalizes on ugly cool footwear trend, coming forth with something as hideous as the Edsel. And I make a note, Google that, kids, because I'm sure most of the kids don't know what an Edsel is. Their star model is called the Wally, something akin to Grandpa's slippers. The only thing missing is the Velcro straps. In spite of all the ugliness, they were founded in 2008, and they sold for $2.5 billion. So this is a 3-alarm nerd alert. So there's a little heads up for you there. It might be just about. Some canned laughter is always a good time, right?
That's right.
I want to remind everybody of our partnership with AGA Tools. AGA builds the premier oil dispensing unit. It's stainless steel and aluminum, not clunky and not heavy, which is important for use. And again, a reminder that we are in the upfit business. We're loving the business, and we're performing upfits all over the country on site at the dealership. Let's see what we've got left here. I think that's about it for today. This is the second half of our part two of our podcast for the gross issue, which is our June issue coming out next week. And then part one of the podcast will come out a couple days later. And finally, part two with David Puterbaugh, president of Revive H2. Thank you so much for being here today. Love the product. I'm excited to package it in with our upfits and really push dealers on this environmentally friendly service. Dave, thank you again for coming, and we'll see you out on the road.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.